How was the week? What is on your mind?
Yeah, I think this week has been quite interesting. So, I think I've been very fascinated by the number of news, especially because of our Elon Musk, Twitter saga that has happened. I think it's been quite interesting to see a person who is so busy already with so much stuff. SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink, Solar City, Boring Company. These are five on my hand. And then this is like, you know what? I think I can take on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of one of those things like intrigues me that am I doing enough? Maybe not.
Yeah. The way like this guy like actually works is that he definitely basically he's a product person, right? So like he has like very specific ideas, be it whatever basically any of his company, like it should be, for example, maybe like a philosophically or maybe like ideally. And then I think he definitely knows how to hire. So then I
He
feel
knows how
like,
to hire.
yeah, so like no way like he will run it, but he will know
Yeah.
basically how to pick the person to run it, and he will be the one with aggressive timelines and product like highly kind of
Yeah.
ambitious and dream-like basically product aspirations.
But
So
in this, the same thing, I don't know if you heard on the All In podcast, this guy, Jason Galacanic, he, I think, went and met with the team, the AI team that is working in Tesla for the self driving car.
yeah,
He said that, okay, if Elon decides to bring one of those guys, that guy alone would solve Twitter's bot problem, this problem, that problem, maybe in a matter of months. And if, God forbid, if he brings three guys, they can do it over a weekend. So, so he definitely has that team that he picks up those people who he definitely has that neck for picking up people. It's insane. Like SpaceX is running autonomously almost now, as it seems like it. And then yeah, Tesla is running autonomously, and it's yeah. I think in his this TED interview that came out, also he was like he was talking about why he slept on the floor
yeah, yeah.
of the why, because I just want them to feel that I'm not somewhere in the some cozy apartment resting
Yeah.
while they are busting their asses.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, still, like, it's definitely like it's not a small entity, like a boring company that okay, something on the side. Like Twitter is a
Something on
massive, like a global community. Like, so it has that. I mean, today morning I was reading in the news that already the shareholders, or at least the key shareholders, are what they call in the basically activist basically
shareholder.
investing
Yeah.
is the poison pill
Oh yeah,
is
that yeah, poison pill. Yeah,
that they
yeah.
introduced it, I think today. That's what I read on Bloomberg today in the morning. So yeah, basically what it means is to just dilute major shareholders by introducing a lot of new shares very quickly, and that they did today. But the thing is, this is a very well known strategy, like for someone like Elon Musk, like who's been through so many companies, like he this is very predictable basically. So we will
Yeah,
see
yeah,
what happens on Monday, or maybe Monday is a holiday because of Easter or something like that. But on Tuesday,
yeah.
it would be yeah,
Yeah, it would be definitely fun to see how it goes. But I think he has already done enough, good or bad, to Twitter. I think he is the person standing between Twitter's 30 billion valuation or 60 billion valuation today. The minute he dumps his shares, the Twitter stock will fall back to 28, 30 billion it was, the valuation. The minute he buys it, it's definitely going to go to 60. but like the decision has to be confirmed. I think right now the stock price is not going that high up right away. It's because just the people are not sure, like, will you be able to even buy it?
I mean, going up is a aspect of market, basically how market currently is, and then also what company has been proving as a value to the various kind of shareholders and all that. But his offer basically brings it to this 60 billion. So the idea is that if he takes that offer, it's not going to reach 60 billion anyway. It will even go down. But if they take it, then it goes there because the number is
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
So yeah. But then yeah, I mean, as I've heard, like is that anyway, like Twitter as a product has been on a decline, and I'm not a very active user, but whatever from the news that I've gathered, it's on a downhill. So
Oh
shareholders
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
are able to kind of even see that.
Yeah, they have not been able to get anything. And in that way, I don't anyway find Twitter that. I don't know who is on Twitter. Like, yeah, I've tried actually just from the marketing standpoint, channel. Being a company who's trying to market, I find LinkedIn as way more compelling platform than Twitter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So what audience I'm gonna get, I can target way easily. Yeah, there are way less bots on LinkedIn. Um, and then there is a very clear way to find something. It's so much easier rather than some people just tweeting news. And LinkedIn, it's always like the professional news. So it has so much more like compelling. If I have to bet what is more valuable, I would go like Twitter is not at all. And I think it's also, I don't know if it is even for consumers, like for B2B, it's definitely not a platform. And then if you go B2C, even, I don't know if that's like makes a compelling channel because there is so much noise. It's just a good source of news from famous people directly.
That's definitely like there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like the reach to like these kind of celebrities is much easier from consumer or news point of view. You're able to like kind of see like this kind of a sentiment analysis is much more easier done on Twitter because you're able to see like what has been the general taste of tweets, of the society and stuff. But then, for
Yeah.
example, the one use case that I was like had thought of initially when joining Twitter is to make it like my news feed, which is if you're following the right people and channels, it is your news feed. You go there, read news, get out.
It's curated. Yeah. Yeah. It's
Exactly.
curated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
But yeah,
yeah.
but I think that's where kind of it falls flat. Like that argument goes beyond a bit. Like you're following people, and the same people can have good or bad opinion, and they can have also very like one-sided or
Yeah,
one-directional opinion
yeah, yeah.
that really matches. And I think that's why Twitter could not take off as a platform for everyone. It only if you are able to find something that you resonate with, and then you are able to find similar people and hear more and more of that. So you're actually not growing as a person, you're just growing in that one dimension. I find it quite repelling in that way. Like, okay, you know, what's new? Like, it's just a different opinion. It just doesn't, yeah. I find it not that compelling in that way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you open Twitter often.
No, I don't open it. At one point I was, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah, I
then,
think Twitter, yeah, as such as, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just saying that from what I understood, even from like Elon Musk, like this TED talk, like his point of view on Twitter is a committee square, like where the whole or the society square hall or town hall, basically the whole everyone in the community can speak, and it kind of has a voice for everyone, and there's freedom of speech. So from that point of view, I sort of get it. And I don't know, for example, like what is the current user base. um, but then, for
Yeah,
example, It's like 80 million or something like that.
Yeah, I think no, it's about 360 active users every month or something.
Okay,
Whatever.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
So if that is the basically representation of the population there, so yeah, they can speak what they want, and then no one is going to penalize them as long as they're in the boundaries of the law.
I think that's the kind of the problem because Twitter as a protocol of communication, just from technology standpoint, it's not that difficult to like kind of build as the open protocol, like that's available out there. It's definitely like a massive undertaking, but it's technically quite reasonably possible. Like any computer science student, if they put like a year to it, they can build a Twitter. But then like you won't be able to have because you have to get all the famous people are already in Twitter. So that's kind of what their value is, I
Exactly,
think,
exactly.
because of the network effect. So it's not actually the protocol, but there are people, they are already there. So I think now Elon's goal was like, okay, if I can make this protocol, which is already quite famous and used by many people to, spread the news that they want to talk about, just available
Yeah,
like that it's open source and everybody is able to see it and all, and you can have all the good qualities of that town square and yeah, go from there. So I think it's definitely um I think once he said that, like, okay, yeah, there is an alternate plan, I was like, okay, there can be actually, he's the most followed person, and then there is not that many people who have a lot of followings. They don't tweet actively on Twitter and stuff like that. So there is like a lot of issues on Twitter, let's say, in that regard. There are like huge problems. So there could be like a famous personality who actually is very famous on Twitter, who tweets a lot. If
yeah.
that person says, okay, Twitter is no longer this and that, and they can actually just very easily create a alternate option. And because they are so famous, they are bringing their clout somewhere else. Like Donald Trump tried, but I don't think so. His clout is as big as Elon Musk, definitely. So then you have way actual migration that is happening. So I think there is a possibility of that second alternative comes out to be like, okay, if this does not go through, that's could be like a likely outcome.
Yeah, I mean, when you say alternative, do you mean like him starting his own network?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I also think so. Yeah, because with his followership, both in celebrities as well as consumer kind of population, like if he starts something like a media, like everyone would immediately follow, immediately. Like there is
Yeah.
just no question, and he can easily put some
Then
like seed
yeah.
and round A and round two, and like he can easily do that.
That's
Like
not even like a question. If you are willing to put 53 billion to build, like, that's just like, okay, to build it, it's like, okay, you put a billion there, easily you're building like way better shit than anything. But also, if you think that's kind of what's the main thing is like, Twitter's main value is the people with clout are on it. And if now the most clouded person goes somewhere, they've already kicked out Donald Trump. And there are more few that definitely would go follow Elon and like, hey, fuck Twitter. I'll be on that network. And then actually Twitter loses so much, like so much.
yeah, I mean, the point is that people can be both on Twitter. That's not a problem. But the key is to gain both trust and user. So as long as both of them are growing, with time, Twitter might fade out. No, like, okay. But then right now, it's okay. There will be one more social media platform, not a problem. And there is Twitter also, no problem. But then
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
kind of establishes itself as the source, basically, to get
Yeah,
unbiased.
but
Yeah,
I think this is where now I think after seeing like how Facebook is of no entity right now. Facebook as a platform alone
yeah,
is a non-entity to me because nobody would advertise on Facebook sanely as I know of. And So there is a possibility, even though a product that is done with the network effect can fade out because of whatever reasons, So I believe that there is a possibility that Twitter could also be like that. That now it has gotten to its peak, it's almost flattening out
Yeah, yeah.
in the youth and all that. And now it's actually gonna fade out, and there has to be, and it could be somebody else bringing that alternative, and then Elon just supports it or whatever. It could be that way as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like his understanding is that clearly the product or the leadership team is not right because the
Yeah.
product is going down. It has many, many flaws, and simple things are like becoming a big problem.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
obviously, then you could say that the management, for example. So this is the new CEO now, right? Some Parag
Yeah.
Sen or
Yeah.
something like that. He just started. I think this is definitely
Some ex
like,
IITN only. Some IITN only.
yeah. Well, this must be like the highlight of his career for sure. But if it all goes, then he might, yeah, maybe
Oh, yeah.
he would keep his job. You never know. I mean, if he has the right idea and now he has the big shoes.
I think definitely it's not a good idea to kick him out right away, but I think keep there for a bit and then, like, okay, hey, I think I got the idea what right now the status is. You need to get the, like, okay, what's the current status? But that's it. And you have an idea, okay, how to solve this, where it should be, how it should be. So yeah, I think that dude is definitely gonna go away. That's my idea. Like, once you say management is not good, it's basically, I think this has been joked about quite a lot in Silicon Valley. So all the heavy tech companies, like, you as a individual engineer or whatever, you can come whatever time. You can bring your dirty laundry to work. It's gonna be great food. You can chill. You have this and that. And now it has gone like beyond that. It has become like you don't even have to come to office. You maybe now there is actually a website where people do 2 3 jobs from home because they're like, oh yeah, I anyway used to put only 2 to 3 hour in work, which I was getting paid full salary for. There's nobody who can question me. I'm taking a creative break. And there's actually company which is like, okay, ghost working is basically, there is companies that train you to do 2 job and all. And I think that's what is happening is like people are taking salary from Twitter and all, and they are doing their own startup. I have this idea and that. I do this 2 3 hours. I have to do this, and that's what Twitter has become, maybe from inside. But like if Elon comes in, he's like, there is just no
He's going to
bullshit.
fire
You
people
are
then.
here. Yeah, you are here 12 hours, 14 hours, you breaking your shit. And I think that's the difference. I don't think so there's any magic wand. There's like definitely good people in the right places and putting this like work in there. It's definitely that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the,
So,
yeah.
so we see,
I
I
don't know
think,
if you know about.
huh?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying
Yeah,
that next week is going to be quite exciting in these terms.
oh, at least what I understood that these things take longer. It's like M&A basically, and any M&A there is like a lot of proceedings, and usually, if you have seen all the board documents and like shareholder agreements, there's always like a 13-day note, 30-day notice, 15-day
Uh-huh.
notice,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what ends up like extending your timeline like way longer. It's basically buys time for the other people to shop around and do and explore different options. So I think there won't be any immediate answers because there is, you can make an offer, and then the board, as per the your memorandum or whatever this company started agreement, that like, okay, you have all the shareholders have 30 days to decide opt in, and or you have this type of drag along and stuff like that. As it seems like the board is not in that much favor. So now if the shareholder gets this thing, and if it's put to shareholder vote, then they would see like, okay, it's good
Yeah.
or yeah, yeah,
So like,
whatever.
okay, so few months, like, yeah,
It's gonna be that way. Very, very much fun.
yeah,
Let's see how it pans out. But
yeah.
yeah, I think it would be really interesting if you think, let's say, hypothetically going into scenarios like, okay, if Elon is running Twitter, what would your vision be? Like how you would see Twitter evolving? Let's say give him a year, and what do you think Twitter would happen in Twitter?
I mean, I'm not an avid user, so I don't know like what has been the kind of what is the potential of it. I mean, I see definitely that as more of a media channel than social network. It's like media meets social network, and basically, if the idea is to have more kind of trustworthy information and news there, then it evolving as like above all news and media on top, basically a kind of a mega kind of a distributor of
Yeah.
new, basically, news basically. And anyone can pretty much say what part they trust or don't trust, or call out on an article, for example, or on a piece of news, to the publisher or to the writer, for example. And like, I like this concept that he was mentioning in the TED call, which is that the source code would be public on GitHub. Go and read it. It's not black box. Now, so if it is not black box, which is like the problem with most machine learning basically products, is that even the engineers don't know why that was the output. They don't know.
Yeah.
All they can do is just change the input, experiment, and see like with what inputs it is giving us a certain output, and then not touch it, basically. So
Yeah.
if you change that black box and it actually becomes the readable code, then everyone can say, basically agree on that this makes sense for basically a certain judgment, be it of promotion, be it of removal, be it of yeah, whatever, for example, promotion. So if that happens, then that becomes by far the source for everyone in the world to kind of go and read up, and just not think about if this is fake news or if this is just coming from someone who's more life right or left, and so on and so forth. So it will become, I think, a mega, you know, distributor
Like the
of,
big organization in a way.
yeah, like how Google is for search,
Absolutely.
this will be for news.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty interesting take. And like, what do you think in terms of just as a company? Because if you become a very big news channel, you have also very huge marketing potential, to be honest. And then you have huge ad revenue potential, definitely. Because news is something that you want to go and constantly read about. And then people you follow, and then you can create like maybe your e-stores on it where you are like, okay, hey, I'm launching this. You can buy right away from Twitter itself. You can have like Stripe or PayPal built in there, so you can just on that tweet itself you can click and buy something. There's like a lot of business potential. What do you think like now the how do you say, last year I think Twitter's revenue was under 5 billion or something like that. And that's just revenue. I don't know what's the profit.
Yeah.
uh, but let's say given something like this happens, and if there is a major reshuffle, there is definitely going to be a low in business. But let's say give it slightly longer time frame, 2 3 years. I think, do you think that it could happen, start to show in revenue? Because you start to make change and the revenue has a time to, you start to market in almost a new type of a media, and then people start to come, and then more and more, and then more marketers start to come and put money in there. So what potential do you see it as business if that what you said happens?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I have two kind of conflicting thoughts. First is
Mm-hmm.
that is very obvious. Is ads, which is revenue with ads, is going to increase, and do it in a way, for example, how Google does, which is in a non-obtrusive way. Like for example, Facebook is just too aggressive. but in a
Too
way
aggressive.
too aggressive, yeah. But now you have Google, where you have a whole multiple pages of search, but the top few ones are the ads related to what it is. Yeah, and we have very good examples of Google, and it's a simple relation of basically how many people use it, and then some multiplier of what is the potential revenue you can generate from that, because of X number of businesses out there are going to be marketing to the same number of users who are there.
Definitely.
It is
Yeah.
that. And that is, I would say, is the more obvious kind of thinking, like, obviously. But then another, which is like a slightly different point of view, is that Elon Musk in general has not taken this path of easy and obvious choice, like let's make
So
money with
definitely
ads.
no ad revenue or maybe
That's
very
what
less.
I'm thinking, that it would not be ad revenue. What I'm thinking instead is that, for example, if I take the concept of SpaceX, where he did not say that I will do tourism. He said, I will fly government satellites and I would send it to the space station, which is a massive, massive use case. And you're actually competing with real companies. Like, it is capability development, it is
Yeah.
not finding a
Yeah.
sidetrack.
Oh
So,
yes, yes.
so I would think, for example, that he will find a way to work with media companies and to pretty much, in a way, get into the nitty gritties, like the value chain of news. He will get to the value chain of news production. He can easily begin to challenge some of the news sources, and still have this aspect of freedom of speech, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is that kind of person. Like in Tesla cars, there is no ads, but if you want the seat to warm, you have to pay monthly subscription.
Yeah, yeah. Which is very like, okay, it's a compelling thing. I would like to pay for it now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but maybe for people who've been driving cars all their life, like whatever this generation, they will hate it. They're like, "Come on, I've paid for the cars. I want everything in it." But anyway, that's not the point. That's not the point. So
Yeah,
yeah, these are
yeah.
my two like conflicting kind of very different point of view on how it can go forward with.
But to be honest, like I feel that you are onto something with the second one. Like it's pretty compelling. I think given the character that is, it's
Yeah,
definitely non-obvious path. For,
yeah.
yeah, I think it's pretty interesting in that way.
So
So I
now,
think we are getting closer to
exactly,
the
exactly, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, or just maybe we can just share some closing thoughts and then wrap up today.
I think a good closing thought on this would be not to predict, but say where you see the highest probability uh, of like how this ending up, kind of the Twitter Elon saga. And the probabilities could be like 40-20, 40-60 or something like that. Like, okay, could be they could win up here, who has the upper hand and why, kind of put a bit of a reasoning there.
I would predict that there will be one or the other way, there will be a new social media platform. Either Twitter is completely transformed into something new, or there is something new coming up. But there will be something kind of shaking up of that industry, and something new will be here in a year. Either Twitter is transformed, people are fired, and it's a whole new thing, or maybe this guy just starts on his own and he says, like, there you go, there is one more, and this is the value.
I start Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he's so heavy on memes anyway, so it will be like
yeah,
something fun, you know?
definitely fun. I think maybe it will be Dodge Twitter, matlab Dodge Twitter or
Yeah, yeah,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Could be anything.
Shibu
Yeah, it's
tweets.
yeah. Uh, I think I definitely see like a high probability, given that this person is he's not the one to back down.
Yeah,
So given, like, I take that as one thing, and
yeah.
then there is a company of like I would say slog people. It's a big organization that is against him to like do this in this takeover part. I have like more uh, like faith in this determination that he won't back down. and he would definitely try to win it, to get into Twitter board and try to get along with the people who are in line with him. So keep them, and then definitely throw the rest off. And then if for some reason that does not succeed, and like technically they make it just impossible, like with this poison pill or something, then I agree with the alternative that is more likely to happen. I think it could be either somebody who's like with Elon, like Elon's one of the manager is like, hey, I can do it. Like one of the guy from SpaceX who just like, hey, yeah, I can do the boring company. That's the guy who's doing the boring company.
Yeah,
So basically, yeah, you just have one dude who's like, yeah, I think I can do this. So it's
yeah.
just like, yeah, okay, you
And
have money.
like this is not a technical problem, but the use case
No,
that he talking about is extremely compelling. Like the
it
use
is.
case of freedom of speech is extremely compelling. Like there is nothing out there that even talks about something like this.
No, no. I think it's almost, and this is so weird to say, but it's like how I think Tesla's biggest product is sustainability. No, like it's just sustainability. It's nothing else. All the things that just follow are the features. So I think the same thing with the free speech is also the same. It's like that's the product. And anything that would come along, be it the platforms and whatnot, will be just the features. And
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
it's definitely it's that big
Yeah.
comparative.
And something he like always kind of mentions in couple of like talks and all of that, and he mentions something about Jack Dorsey also, that he has a good heart, which means that in general that guy wants to do the right thing. Like he
Yeah,
looks for
yeah,
people who have good intentions. So
yeah.
this is not a technical problem, and he has the use case right. So all he has to do is to find someone who has the head in the right place.
I wouldn't be surprised that Jack Dorsey would be on that
Me too.
board.
Me too. Is the most obvious choice, because yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
even if Jack Dorsey would not want the CEO, because he himself stepped down, so he got tired of running other company. But
No, no. Actually, there was a bit of a conspiracy around it. There was like he wanted to do something radical with Twitter, like with a lot of things, and then there was some internal forces that wouldn't let him.
okay,
And he's not the kind of guy who do the, I think, face off or file till the death. And he doesn't have the majority of the ownership,
yeah, it's like two
unfortunately.
percent or
It's not
something.
like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why he couldn't just wield like so that's why the company has been slogging. So it's like a bit of that issue. But otherwise, I think he's a very good executor. As you said, he's a very good in heart person, very technical, knows a lot about it. So yeah, I think there is definitely a lot of space for him to also be in one of the executive positions to help and guide. Like, hey, we made a lot of mistakes here. Don't do this,
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point to kind of, and I think that's a bright and a happy future. That sounds like
Yeah, yeah. It sounds, yeah, definitely quite,
promising.
quite nice.
All right,
Chalo.
perfect. So we
So
continue
next
again
week,
next week.
next
Yes,
week, blockchain.
yes.